This week, here on CockTales Dirty Discussions, Dirty Mouth, we have a dating coach. We have our girl, Ibbie. Glad to be here. Would you rather a rich significant other who is always busy or a broke significant other who has all the free time in the world?
We can find ways to connect.
What did your parents think of the last person you dated? Delulu Island is a fabulous place to be when you don't have any care in the world.
I think marriage has a bad PR team right now.
And I was like,
On FaceTime?
you don't have to go through some of it. Because some parts of the dating journey, I don't be wanting to go on. Like, you be going so good, and then you get to a point where you're like, your mama fucked you up.
And Black Mirror, if you're listening, you need to email Medina.
Yeah, check 1 2, check 1 2. Is this mic on? Is this mic on? Hey, listen, man. It's the one and only trendsetter DJ Sense, and you're listening to CockTales, Dirty Discussions with Kiki and Medina Monroe. Yeah.
Today's cocktail is called the Situationship. Are you in one? You need to make this thing because I don't know if you're sad or happy. So you need some grenadine. You need some sort of dark liquor. I am using Villion again, and you'll need some ice cold sparkling wine. So the way you want to make this, it's very easy, just like a situationship. You're going to put a little drop of grenadine just for color because, you know, grenadine can get really sweet. You want to add 1 part of your liquor. Whoo, that's going to be a heavy situationship. I'm talking about bathroom cries. And then you're just going to top the rest off with your champagne so you can drink your sorrows away. Cheers, you guys. The situationship. That's tasty. Cheers.
Welcome back to CockTales Dirty Discussions, you guys. I know I've had a few sips of some situationships. Some tasty, some I think they were a little heavy-handed on the bitters. Anyway, I'm Kiki Said So.
And I am Medina Monroe.
And welcome back, you guys.
Hey, y'all.
This week we do have a special guest. Before we introduce her, I do want to remind everybody that if it's not too late, we're recording this in November, but if it's not too late, I would love for you to join me next year, March 19th through the 23rd in Curacao. We're going to have a good time, relaxing, luxuriating, eating good food, dancing, yachting, just doing girls things and taking a minute to disconnect from everyday life, make some new friends, and enjoy the company of other women and just, you know, vibe out.
That's such a good amount of time for a trip. If you have not done group travel, this would be a great time to try it out for your first time. Some people get scared about group travel, but I live by it. You never know who you're going to meet. More than likely, you're going to meet some of your greatest girlfriends, have amazing experiences, eat good food, and that's not too long.
It's you know, just coupling the weekend. I think that is like it's either a Wednesday through Sunday or Thursday through Monday, something like that. It'll be a good time. And the weather there is perfect. Springtime is not hurricane season, but it's out of the hurricane zone. I mean, it's just a beautiful place, crystal clear blue waters, and it's not as ran through as Turks and Caicos. If that's a place that's been on your list, it's close, but not quite. They have beautiful water, beautiful sand.
You think you're going to do braids for that trip? Or you gonna try something new? Okay.
Absolutely. I need braids or I'm going to have to cut all my hair off because I'm not walking around looking crazy again like I did in Jamaica. I don't know what to do. And I like having the braids. I want some braids right now.
I think I'm going to get braids for Costa Rica. I didn't have to do it for Iceland because it was cold and I was still scared, but I managed it.
Yeah, I want some braids. I just love the braids. If I don't do braids, maybe I'll do like a curly type of weave or something.
Curly weave never worked out for me. It just naps up.
Oh, dear.
And now I can't comb through it. I'm breaking combs. Now I'm just wearing it in a bun.
Breaking combs? Ooh, good googly moogly. Well, anyway, if you do hair and you in the Atlanta area, hit me up. I would like to find somebody new to do some braids, or if you do, some good extensions. I don't want to sew in, but if you do anything else, like maybe some K-tips, I-tips, tape ins, that's my preference.
Exciting. You guys, this week here on CockTales Dirty Discussions, Dirty Mouth. You remember that commercial?
No, what is this?
Orbit. Orbit. Yeah.
Yes.
We have a dating coach. You know, we love having dating coaches on. She's also a life licensed therapist. She's also a listener of CockTales, a fan of Elizabeth Gilbert because we met her at our live taping with Elizabeth Gilbert. We have our girl Ibbie. Hi.
Hey, girl, hey.
Welcome, welcome.
How you doing?
I'm well. I'm glad to be here.
We're happy to have you.
I was asking Ibbie earlier how she found out about this show. She couldn't remember. She said, maybe we came across her feed. So good to know social media is working. But I'd love to know how you became a dating coach.
Yeah. Okay. So I was working at a bar, all the places where situationships happen, right? And a lot of the customers that would come in, they would tell me their dating stories. My coworkers would tell me their dating stories. I would tell myself my dating stories.
Were you a bartender?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it just got to a point where I'm like, we're all going through the same thing here. There has to be a common denominator, and I want to figure it out. So I went and got my master's degree in clinical mental health counseling. And I'm like, I started there, and I started coaching and doing both therapy and coaching.
Is that required to be a dating coach?
No, I just wanted to be a therapist too. So it kind of just worked out that way. Yeah. So you can be a coach.
Was it difficult to get that degree? Like, is the actual work hard? Like, you had to retain a lot of information, or were you kind of like, this is rather easy?
I would say the school I went to, it was like K-CREP accredited, and that's like what you want to go for if you are getting a mental health degree. I enjoyed just how it flowed in the classroom, the conversations. Like it was stuff I wanted to learn about, so it didn't feel like it was hard because I wanted to be there. Yeah.
Yeah. And what is the thing that you want to look for the accreditation?
K-CREP, C-A-C-R-E-P, K-CREP.
Well, that's interesting. So before we find out the nitty gritty of your dating experiences and experiences as a coach, we're going to play a little game that we came out with called I'm Curious to Know. If you guys are interested in purchasing I'm Curious to Know, head on over to I'mCuriousToKnow.com and you can place your order there. I'll go first. Do you know what your love language is? And what is it?
All of them? No. I do love all of them, but top of the list is acts of service. That's top of the list for me. And I think a lot of older children, older daughter syndromes, we have that because we're always doing for everybody. So I think naturally, acts of service.
Did you know that already, or did something happen where you were like, this is really something that I'm missing, or something that I really enjoy from someone I like? Like, how did you figure out that was what it was for you, or you just took the test?
I think I just took the test. Yeah, I took the test and I was like, oh, well, that makes sense. And then the second one was receiving gifts. And people want to call me a gold digger for that. But I think just the act, the gesture, like you were thinking of me. It could be a flower out of the garden somewhere. Just that you were thinking of me. I like that.
They kind of go hand in hand too. Because like somebody can do something for you, but even when people are giving you thoughtful gifts, those are my favorite personally, because it's like you were thinking of me in probably a random time and that means something, or you got me something useful that you know that I can actually use. Grand gifts are nice too, don't get me wrong.
Like it was very random that when I saw the salt in Iceland, I was like, Kiki, that was random.
It was, and I loved it. I haven't used it yet because I haven't been cooking, but I'm gonna bust it out because I'm about to get in Thanksgiving mode.
Okay. I'm curious to know, would you rather a rich significant other who is always busy or a broke significant other who has all the free time in the world?
You're gonna have to give me the rich guy. We can find ways to connect in other ways, but I can't suffer through this life. I really can't. I just can't.
Nobody wants to be poor.
I cannot.
Everybody's like,
No. Okay. What did your parents think of the last person you dated? I didn't like him.
Well, Kurt, my husband. Let's go with my husband. Let's not talk about the one before. My husband, they love him.
Well, that can count, yeah.
Yeah. Before that, they were questionable. Like, disappointed maybe.
Did they always love the husband, or they had to grow?
No, they've always loved him.
Okay,
yeah,
good. That's good. That's a good situation when everybody likes each other, and you don't got to be like, "Mama, don't be mean."
Right. Yeah.
Okay. I'm curious to know, would you date someone who has a baby on the way?
My next card was literally the other one that's similar to that. I'll skip it.
I'm
but
like curious
no
y'all's
answer.
answers to some of these, but I would say,
Girl,
Mine is immediately no.
No,
I got
right.
to pick
A
up
baby
my
on the
stuff
way,
and
what?
go.
yeah, only because that's really soon. There's probably still some entanglements with the baby mama.
Or it could be a situation where they didn't know, and now somebody's calling like, "Hey, I'm pregnant. I know
And
we
then
didn't know
that's
each
still
other. We were
drama,
just
and I'm
out of
having a
town."
baby soon, like this week soon.
I can't be Melanie Derwin. I just can't.
I
you know?
don't think I could do it. You know, if we're married and I have to, then okay. But if we're dating, I would be so sad. But I would have to be like, I can't do it. It's just starting off with too much drama too soon. We're supposed to be in the honeymoon phase.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Definitely the situation surrounding it matter, but first thought is
Because you're gonna have to help with the baby.
And like I think it would be hard to help if the baby was like the product of you cheating on me or some sort of dishonesty.
Mm-hmm.
Now it would be different if I met you in January. You don't find out until July or August when we are like really into each other that this girl who you had a one night stand with is pregnant and she's keeping it and she waited to tell you. That's a little different, but I could get through that maybe. But for sure not if there was some sort of cheating. But the other one, I just hope not. I hope I never run into that.
I hope I never. Because
that's scary.
Have y'all ever watched the movie Fences with
Yeah.
Denzel Washington and Viola Davis? And she was
Watch the
just
movie, read the play.
and then she had that breakout scene where she was crying and like talking about, I'm taking care of your kids. Why are you doing that? Like, why? I'm not doing that. Denzel, get them babies
Because it
up out
used to
this
be
house.
harder for women and we didn't have too many options.
Now we're not going for that. I mean, some of us are.
There's a
But
lot.
now we're not.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you know, to each their own. All right, so this question says, how do you feel about marriage? But since I know that you're already married, I'm going to switch it up. What's something that you wish you knew about marriage that you know now, but you didn't know before you got married? Maybe something people don't really talk about.
You can craft marriage the way you want to, like whatever works for you. And I think people go into it with this idea that it has to be this blueprint, what they've seen before, this cookie cutter situation. And I'm like, find a partner who gets you and craft it how you want to craft it. If you want to be open, be open. If you want to be closed, be closed. If you want to, whatever you want to do you and craft it how you want it. And you can enjoy marriage. I think marriage has a bad PR team right now. I don't think people talk great about married life, especially even married people. They're not talking great about married life. And I'm like,
Really?
I hear so much crap. And I'm like, you're making marriage sound bad.
I think lately what I've been hearing about marriage is like the honest sides of it. It's like, it's not this happy-go-lucky situation. Like you definitely go through this honeymoon phase, but like the majority of marriage is very difficult. Is that what you mean by like it's getting a bad rep? Because that's what I'm hearing from married people. Like, whoa, like no one really teaches you how to be a husband or teaches you how to be a wife. And now you get into those roles and you have to deal with certain things. And depending on if we're doing traditional vows and traditional marriage under the covenant of God, there are certain roles that people have a hard time adjusting to. And that's what I'm hearing about marriage. People not really knowing how to do it. You want to, but you don't really know how to commit how you're supposed to.
Yeah, you've heard the healthy adjustments. I like that. Yeah, I hear a lot of, I had to suffer through this, and this before he became a good guy and blah, blah, blah. Like, especially from people who are like in the older generations, all the things they went through. I'm like, no,
Never.
it's not worth it.
I would say lately I've been talking to more men and hearing more positive views of marriage, which is really nice to hear married people talk about it in a positive light, or even like they're not married, but they are aspiring to marriage. Because women will talk about marriage a lot and we dream about these fairy tale weddings and all of this stuff. And in my experience, it hasn't been so often that men are saying great things. They make it seem like they don't want it, or it's not really beneficial, or if they do, it's really so that they have somebody to take care of the kids because this alleged legacy they want to leave behind, or something like that. And it's just like, first of all, what is your legacy really? Because it's more than just leaving a kid, but I digress. Anyway, I've been hearing a lot of different stories on both sides, but I do appreciate when I do hear positive things. And I take it you're happily married right now. That's good. And maybe too, something to consider is you might be hearing a lot of bad things because people are coming to you for help.
That might be it. But then
because you're a coach.
Yeah.
You're a dating
Even
coach, so
when
they
I'm,
might
like,
have preconceived
scrolling,
notions.
When
Huh?
I'm scrolling through social media.
Oh, you got
all
it.
the
Those people don't
clips-
touch grass. Those people don't touch
all
grass.
the
They don't
clips
go
I'm
outside.
seeing, I'm like, oh God.
How long have you
why?
been married?
It'll be 3 years next month.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did you do the big wedding?
No. It was the year after. It was 2021. So COVID-ish year. So we did it like a cute little thing in my mom's backyard, some close friends. It was
Very
really cute,
intimate.
very intimate. Yeah, we had to decide, like, do we want to do a big thing or we want to get our house? And we got our house.
Y'all were
Responsible.
smart. That's why y'all still happy. Y'all didn't go broke. Everybody be like, we didn't spend all the money on the wedding now. Okay. I'm curious to know, this is my last one. On a scale from 1 to 10, how happy are you right now?
Ooh, I love that one. I'll give it a 9. I feel like there's always room for improvement. So I'll give it a 9. I'm in a really good place.
I love
What's
that.
making you the happiest right now?
Doing
Everything.
life on my own terms. Like, I just turned 30 and I feel like something actually came with that. Normally people are like, you might feel a change, you might not. And I feel like something came with that. This like empowerment, this
30 was a good year for me. I will say, like, 30 was a really good year for me. Was 30 good for you?
Yeah, it was. I saw Beyonce. I came into my own. I started feeling more confident. I felt that change. It's slow change in some areas and like instant change in others where I guess like after my birthday and the festivities were done, I kind of had this aha moment that it's just like, girl, you have lived 30 years of life. And for many of those years, you have tried to live them to live up to other people's ideas. And what has made you happiest? The things that you did for you, keep doing that.
right.
And everybody else can fall in line or disappear. And ever since then, it's been a lot easier to like stick to what I want. For myself. Not always, but it does make it a little bit easier. And so any of y'all that might be listening to this who haven't approached 30, I was scared going into it. Were
Don't
y'all
be
scared? I was so scared. I was like sad and scared. And I wanted to be
Why?
29 forever. I don't know, because people make it seem like your life is over and like 30 is old. I know better now.
Yeah.
But at that time, I just felt like I don't want to leave my 20s. And then also having this idea about what my life should have been by the time I turned 30, reaching milestones. Like we did a whole episode on it, so I won't go into a ton of detail, but just having these ideas about things I should have accomplished, where I should be in my life, and I wasn't there. Even though when I took a step back, it's like, but you're working on it. You weren't working on it before. Now you are. So like, relax, bitch, relax. So yeah.
Relax. Welcome to the 30 Club.
Thank
Yes,
you.
welcome,
Glad to be
welcome.
here. Yeah, I love it so far.
Okay, so we're going to move on to weird sex really quick. And when we come back from this segment, we're going to get in some of our topics for today.
You said a man is not a necessity, a man is a luxury, like dessert. Yeah. A man is absolutely not a necessity. Did you mean that to sound mean and bitter? Oh, not at all. I adore dessert. I love men. I think men are the coolest. But you don't really need them to live.
So this weird sex is actually a little bit different today, you guys. I found a few confessions, sex confessions, fantasy confessions online. They're all from anonymous people, but they shared them on like Twitter and Instagram and stuff. So I'm sharing them here. And I want to know what y'all think about them. So the first one says, this person wants to get really sweaty and naked with both Dr. Phil and Steve Harvey. And after they finish having sex, they shave each other's mustaches off before going down on him again. I mean, her again. Could you imagine? So you're having sex with Dr. Phil and Steve Harvey, and they're gonna
Dr. Phil. And Steve Harvey.
those are some thick ass
They
mustaches.
do got,
And then they shave them off and go back, so you
two
get the
potato
hairy.
heads in big juicy suits. Like, who wrote this?
That is interesting.
And I just wonder, I think they're probably our age or older, because, you know, the kids eventually on demand was like standard and they didn't have to watch talk shows after school. Why do
And
you
we
know who
really
Dr.
were
Phil?
watching talk shows.
Because I
after
was
school.
rushing for Oprah.
I couldn't wait.
I love
Mari?
watching Oprah. Mari was like a guilty pleasure. Oprah made me feel smart sometimes.
Jerry
And
Springer, you weren't supposed to be watching it, but we was watching it.
yeah, and then
Remember Montel?
Yes, I like Montel. Who else? Ricky Lake.
Ricky Lake.
That was when I was way younger. Ricky Lake, Jenny Jones.
Do you
Sally Jesse Raphael with the red glasses.
We are old souls. Do you? I don't know why. Every time, do you? Geraldo. I was about to say, and me and Mecca were traumatized.
Why?
Was his name Geraldo or Geraldo? Geraldo. Thanks, Lauren.
Mm-hmm.
Geraldo had an episode where he had the KKK or the country racist white people. This is embedded in my mind. And we were watching it, and then they started throwing chairs. Remember they smacked Geraldo in the head?
I didn't see
You
that
remember
one.
that? And they broke his nose. It was blood everywhere. I mean, this was like a TV crime. The racist white people were...
Maybe my grandparents didn't let me watch it.
We didn't know we were watching it. It happened out of, you know...
Oh, yeah, because we wouldn't watch it in advance. I don't know. I didn't see that one.
Me and my sister were traumatized with it. We watched.
Maybe they saw a commercial while I was at school that they was going to have the KKK on. It was like, not today, Jesus.
Yeah.
I never saw that one, and I'm glad I didn't, because that would have me traumatized.
Yeah, I was traumatized. That's the only Geraldo episode I even remember.
I don't remember none of them either. And I used to get him and Mari confused.
Yeah.
A similar look. Anyway. All right.
Kamala used to date Montel. Did you know that?
I saw that.
Ain't that
I saw something about
that.
that. Okay. This person says, I want to wear a plug/strap-on in my butt, sort of like a tail, right? This way I can have sex with two women on both sides of me at the same time, like a swinging pendulum.
If someone suggested that.
Okay, I have a plug in my butt like a tail.
One woman can ride the back and one can ride the front.
Two women on both sides. But it's just like, what kind of tail you got that somebody can ride? Because I'm thinking about like a floppy tail. Like
he said a strap on. So it would be just like a hard tail.
A plug or a strap on in my butt. Oh, and then like, if I saw that, that would not turn me on.
At all.
Even if there was no other woman there, it's just me. It's just like, why do I want to have a dick butt thing that I'm sitting on?
I'm trying to visualize.
Like, imagine a little dick coming out the back. You got one in the front and one in the back. That would seem like a statue or something that would be in like the Museum of Sex. Whitley, you ate all the snacks.
When I was in Iceland,
you saw this?
No, they have a penis museum. They had a lot of sexual things in Iceland, and I was like, "What's going on? What were the Vikings doing?"
Fucking.
They had a penis museum. It's all types of penises.
Were they small?
I didn't go. I just kept seeing the advertising for it.
Oh, I wish you would have went so you could tell us. You gotta stop breathing so hard when you do that. Okay, next one. I only have two more. Okay, so this one says, in my fantasy, a hot witch needs cum for a spell or something. So she kidnaps me and takes me to her lair. This is very intricate. To her lair where she just rides me constantly to get my cum. After a little while, it won't just be about the spell anymore, and she'll just ride me because she likes it.
I wonder what the witch looks like. I wish you would have described that.
I know. I picture somebody from Hocus Pocus.
So maybe Sarah Jessica Parker.
Maybe, or maybe not. Different strokes for different folks. I just can't believe that this is a fantasy and you're going to give your cum for a spell. What is the spell? I would like to know. I don't want to give no bodily. Yeah, I don't want to give any of my bodily fluids, because then is that going to tie me to the spell? This is another like mystical one, and this is the last one. I just woke up from a weird dream where I was a wizard and ran into a vampire version of Anne Hathaway who was missing her two fangs. What?
Is Anne Hathaway the one who was stealing stuff a long time ago?
No, that's Winona Ryder.
Okay.
Anne Hathaway is like Princess Diaries.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So she's a vampire in the dream. It's a vampire version of her, but she didn't have her two fangs, so she was no longer dangerous. They were in an abandoned building and started hooking up, and she kept asking with a lisp to kiss her. Will you kiss me? I wonder if he was watching the fight and was listening to Mike Tyson, and that's where the lisp came in.
I would be like, not you missing your side teeth.
I'd love for that to actually happen in real life.
People are interesting.
They are. If you guys have a weird confession, I mean, we're going to laugh about it, but I do hope that you send it in, because now I'm just like, okay, people be thinking about some interesting things that I never would have thought of.
My thoughts get real crazy, and my dreams are out of this world wild. So
like that?
Not like that, but they're enough to be like, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what I mean?
Well, submit your stories, info@kikisaidso.com, or you can DM them to us on the gram if you've got a weird sex confession experience, or you just see a wild story that you think we should talk about. I'd appreciate it.
Ibbie, What is a situationship? Can you explain it to our listeners?
Yeah.
Versus dating or being in a relationship. What is a situationship? Because believe it or not, some people don't know what it is nowadays. Some people find themselves in one and don't know they're in one. They thought it was a
Right.
relationship. It was a situationship.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I would say it is a situation in which it's undefined. You're doing relationship things. However, nobody has put a label on it. Nobody's defined it. You're kind of confused. You kind of want more, but you're just going to go along with it because it feels better than nothing sometimes.
Do you think that that's always bad?
Oh my gosh. Somebody actually pointed that out to me a couple years ago. I was talking about situationships and she's like, well, you make it sound like it's always a bad thing. And she's like, mine worked out pretty well. It's like, okay.
They're married now?
No.
Okay.
But it just didn't end in like tears.
It didn't end in tears. I guess she had a good time at the time. Like it worked for her. But I'm like, well, you're not my target audience. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Do you think you've been in a situationship?
Do I think I have been? I live by them. And I asked that question because I am with the person that you're talking about. I think that depending on what both parties want or however many parties are involved, I don't think that a situationship is always bad. Situationships have bad PR too, right? They can absolutely be bad when somebody wants something and they're not getting it or you're afraid of communicating or whatever. But you can be involved with someone and it doesn't have to be this dramatic, sad, nobody's getting what they want thing if you're on the same page. The problem is a lot of times people aren't on the same page or you want to do relationship things without the commitment, kind of like a friends with benefit, but maybe somewhere between friends with benefit and something more because there are more, I don't know, discussions or whatever. But I think that situations typically are bad because somebody is not getting what they want. And a lot of times it's due to a lack of communication or there was communication and you accepted something less than what you really wanted just because you didn't want to lose the person, you're afraid of being lonely, all of that. But I don't think that they always have to be bad. If both people are truly on the same page and neither of you wants to commit to anything more, but whatever the commitment that you have is working for you, then it can work for you. Just like you said, you can define marriage how you want to. I think you can define any relationship how you want to, and there's no cookie cutter to it. It's just important that people are on the same page and you have to be honest with yourself about what you want without talking to the other person and then be honest with that person about what you're willing to give and what you want from them. And everybody has to be clear. That's the only way that they work out. Many people are in one-sided situationships where one person is happy with that situationship, you know, and they've said everything, they've been honest, and the other person is accepting less than, or they're not speaking up about what they really want or the changes they want. But that's any relationship. You got to speak up.
Do you think that that's wrong in a situationship, not relationship, where one person is happy and they're like, well, I'm getting what I want if you're not, and you, because I've been in several also, and ones where it's like I have the upper hand in the situationship. I know you want more, but because you're not saying anything or because you're still just dealing with it, it's like, well, I mean, I'm happy. Do y'all think that's, you as the professional, do you think that's wrong? Like, is that a form of abuse?
What part is wrong? Is what part wrong?
Like,
Sorry.
if you know that you're in a situationship,
like, are
so
you wrong
whoever
for
has
having
the upper hand in it, and you know that you're doing the other person a disservice, like you know they want more.
So am I wrong for being in a
going.
situationship with somebody who won't speak up for themselves?
Yeah.
I love how you put it that way. Who won't speak up for themselves?
Like, should you just be like, let me be the bigger
I'm not
person
anybody's
and
mama
end
but
it?
Whitley. That would be nice, but I don't think that you're wrong. I think that you could do something, especially if you're aware of it, right? Because sometimes you're not aware, but when you are aware, you could absolutely do something. But I wouldn't say that the person is wrong if the other person won't communicate. I think that person who's not communicating is the one wrong in the situation, and they're doing themselves the biggest harm because they're not speaking up. And that's a sad lesson that we've all got to learn how to speak up for ourselves about what we want. Because I've been on both sides. And it's like you accept less than because you don't want to be alone or you don't want to not have the person. And you stupidly feel that having this piece of the person is better than nothing at all, even though being on the other side of it, bitch, no. Sir, no. Ma'am,
you went out with them, you're acting like you're having fun, and like they leave.
You're sad.
And you're crying. Not just sad, you're crying. I love him, and you're talking to your friend. You're like, I love him.
And your friends are looking at you like, bitch, order another shot. This is stupid, and we've been
No,
telling you it
don't
was
get
stupid.
another shot.
No, order me another shot as the friend who's listening, because I'm tired of hearing the same old shit we done told you 11 times. I don't know what you want us to
like
do.
that.
Yes.
I don't like situationships. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not an advocate for them, and I'm saying that strictly because like I have been in the situationships, and no matter what side I'm on, somebody really be detrimentally hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I've been the hurt one. I've been the one who was like, I know I'm doing the hurt, but it's like, well, you are an adult. You need to communicate. But it's like, I also am like, I probably should have stopped doing this with you. Now we getting pregnancy tests and you hoping I'm pregnant. I don't want to.
Oh, well, that went really far. I wasn't thinking about that.
Wow.
But I think no matter what though, like I don't want to say I'm an advocate for situationships, but I am an advocate for speaking up for what you want and stop expecting everybody else. It's kind of like, when you can kind of tell whether it's a relationship that you're in or you're looking at somebody else's relationship situation, whatever, and you know that one person wants out, but they refuse to be the one to really end it. Mm-hmm. So they might just let it ride. They might start cheating or doing something like that, or they might not even do the cheating and the infidelity thing, but they might just start picking fights and doing things, trying to poke the bear and make you do it. It's like trying to force your hand. I can't stand when people do that. Mm-hmm. I think that happens a lot too. And all of that goes to say, you've got to speak up for yourself no matter what. And if you're having trouble with that, I'm sorry. I hope that you build the strength and get the skills and tools to be able to do it. But you have to learn, because you can't always expect somebody else to make a decision for you. You got to take charge, man or woman.
True.
Because both sides
do it.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, I think what you mentioned earlier, Kiki, about just doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. Just depends on how you define it. Mm-hmm. And like, I would like to propose a new term. I don't know what it is yet.
Right. It wouldn't it be nice to have a different term?
Yeah.
For like when people, like I wouldn't even say like ethical non-monogamy or any of that. Because sometimes it's not about another person, but maybe like a
friendship.
No, it's more than a friendship, because you be hunching sometimes.
Love ship.
Perhaps, or like a relationship with training wheels, a little bit, like you a little bit in there, a little bit out. I don't know, like a trainship.
Have you guys?
I don't know, because that might get spun the wrong way. A trainship.
Right. Have you guys witnessed a successful situationship? Like anyone you know who's like, oh, this has worked for me long term, and both people feel satisfied.
And like they end up getting married and they're still together.
Not that. They just do the situationship and it works for both people.
And then when it ends, it's just like
just like a mutual
fighting.
Like, hey, let's just walk
I
away.
have seen maybe 2.
Okay.
And they ended amicably. It was fine. And they both went on. I think that if I'm looking at it now that neither of these 2 couples are in the relationship, situationship, trainship, love ship, whatever we're going to call it, right? They're both out of it. At the time, they both were involved with the other person, but nobody was really ready to fully commit. And it wasn't about other people and them wanting to see other people. It was just really a time thing. So like they had fun and they were able to have their intimate moments. It was just kind of like having a substitute teacher, but not a substitute boyfriend, like a little fill-in, somebody to, that you could be vulnerable with, that you could do these things with, but you didn't necessarily want a future with them. They were there for right then, and it ended okay. 2 out of the 2,000 that I've seen.
But even hearing you say that part, and this is like the older Medina, when I go back to moments and times in my life where I was in the situationship and I was the one who liked the person more. And even I think about 6'8" Bae. Like that was definitely a situationship that I glamorized and thought was like a real. But when I look, you look back and you're like, that's not what it was. When you can see it
when you're not in it.
And hearing you even say the words, like you just said something where it was like, oh my gosh, that's so painful. To be painful? The one on the receiving end of like, I don't want to be with you. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't see a future with you. And I never did. To be on the receiving end of that and you do care about the person and you're like, it's just like I'm a lover girl. I am a certified lover girl. And I've been on the receiving end of that where it's like, I was planning.
I mean, I totally get it. And these weren't my situationships, to be clear. Mine be one-sided usually. But these weren't mine. But I really do feel like, because I knew both people individually outside, it wasn't like, oh, I knew the girl and she introduced me to the guy, so he's been around. I had relationships with both of them. Outside of it, I really feel like they just found comfort in each other. They both had different things going on. And to this day, I don't think that either are slighted. One of them is married now in one couple. One person is married, one person's in a long-term relationship. The other one, they're still doing the same thing, but they moved on to another person. And I think when you are like, you are a lover girl, you're a hopeless romantic. And there are so many people like that. But there's also so many people who don't really want relationships. And it's hard to sift through, especially with people not being honest a lot of times about what they want really and truly, whether they know it for themselves or not. But I still think it can happen.
What about marriage? What if resulting in marriage? Have you seen success in that way, where they were like,
where it was a situationship and then it turned into marriage? Yes.
Ooh. Was it friends with benefits or situationship?
It was a situationship. Okay. There was other people involved in the beginning, and eventually things changed. People were more honest. They did have some breakups to makeups, but married, children, homeowners, happy.
Okay, don't say too much.
Loving.
I'm trying to help my clients out of these things. And
but I also think, I will say this. I think some of this comes with age, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you're really young and immature, and if you can work through those things as you grow up. Now, at this point, if you starting off like this, we're too old for that. But if you start off high school sweethearts, or you're in college dating and now you're over 30, that's a lot different than meeting somebody at 30 to 34 or however old I am. Oh, I'm way older than that. Anyway, it means somebody 30 plus and you trying to go through those things because you also grow just as a person, whether you're attached to somebody or not. Your mindset in your teenage years, your early 20 years, oftentimes is much different than the 30 plus version of yourself. And the 30 plus version of yourself seems to be a lot more level-headed and what the rest of your life will be like. It's not wild. People aren't like, oh, I'm so wild in my 30s. They say 20s and teens. People are calming down at this point. They're having some realizations and you get into your groove as an adult and things are more like cruise control.
Speaking of you working with your clients, what do you think is the psychology behind situationships? Like if one of your clients came to you like, oh my gosh, I keep finding myself in these situationships, whether they want them or not, what would you kind of talk to them about? Is there a fear of commitment here? Do we have low self-esteem? Like what are some of the avenues you take them down to kind of dive into like getting out of it if you don't want it?
Right. Yeah. I usually start with kind of exploring childhood because everything starts there. Everything starts in childhood. So just kind of seeing how they were responded to as children. Like, did you feel like your needs were met? Did you feel like your parents attuned to you? Do you feel like they understood you? Do you feel like you had to shapeshift who you are just to win their approval? So starting there, like if you had those types of situations where you felt like you had to kind of like abandon self to be accepted, I can see how that would lead to you just kind of wanting to hold on to little pieces of love and affection from somebody because it feels affirming. And then also it reminds you of childhood. Like everything's a mirror to childhood. So if it reminds you of having to fight to be seen and chosen and loved from your parents, it's just going to keep being a cycle until you figure out how to break it.
I want to ask you about how to break it. But before I ask you that, we've talked about it before, but refresh everybody's memory about the different attachment styles and maybe some examples of them or what they look like.
We'll start with secure. That's what we would all aim for.
Right.
But have I met a secure person? I don't know. That's where basically I haven't either. Basically, it's where you are open to love. You're open to receiving love. You're good at communicating your needs. You know your boundaries. You know your standards. You can, if a need is not being met, you're able to say that and be like, oh, well, this isn't going to work for me. You're able to walk away confidently and know that you're going to find love again. Very beautiful. Then we have the anxiously attached, and that's where you kind of fear abandonment. You just want to cling on to the person, like, please don't leave me, don't go anywhere.
That's me.
And you want that reassurance, like, I need to know that you're going to be here. And then we have a fearful avoidant. Well, let's start with dismissive. Let's start with dismissive avoidant. because that's like on the far end of avoidance where you're like, this is getting too serious. I'm out of here. You struggle with intimacy. You don't really
Runaway
want
bride,
to.
but before bride.
That baby was really running from the brides. I mean,
From the groom.
from the grooms. Like, we didn't pay for the wedding.
You got the dress on.
Right.
Do you know how many people
I'm
wanted to be
suing
here,
you. I'm
bitch?
letting you know right now. I'm suing you. Running down the wedding.
Could you imagine if you had to go to a whole bunch of bridesmaid activities and this bitch is on a horse trotting down Nottingham Hill because she don't want to do it? You got me fucked up, bitch. I done went to Miami, Tulum. We did a bridal shower, a bachelorette weekend with some bachelorettes that I don't fuck with, and neither do you.
We did a paint and sip, perfume making class. I didn't want to go. I requested off.
I got a hairdo I don't like. Yes.
You
it's
made us
hot.
all get up, do swoops.
And we're in Mexico. I wanted braids, bitch. Like, come on. I had to pay for everything. I am not rich.
Try to run if you want to, Rebecca. Bring that ass back. You getting married.
Me, you, him, the mama, everybody, the in-laws. No, you, come on. Me and the cartel are coming to get your ass, and you're going to be at this fucking thing. Sorry. That wasn't even an experience
Because you done
I
took
had.
it too far.
I
We
get
done
carried
bought
away.
that. You made us buy our dresses.
But I'm just thinking about it from the outside. And you runaway bride bitches, you need to listen to us because that is out of line. Like, think about everybody else. You knew before you got there. With your avoidant ass. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, God. Okay.
You knew before you got to wedding day, and I done got a new passport.
And you really just kept going. And we maybe even was like, do you really want to marry him? And you mad at us.
Him. Yeah, you talk about it. I don't even know if I want her to be in the wedding. Well, bitch, I don't want to be here. And little did I know, I shouldn't have done this. I should have went on the trip with my other friend group where they're having a blast. Turning up, popping bottles with Drake. And here we are.
In Abu Dhabi.
Well,
our minds just work in random ways. But anyway, I'm sure that's somebody's story. It's not ours, but it's somebody. Somebody's been through that. They
there's
made
a whole
movie about it.
Right? Runaway bride.
Julia Roberts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, the far end of avoidant is what you were saying.
Very far end is
dismissive avoidance.
Dismissive
what you
avoidant.
said? Okay.
They struggle with intimacy. They have this fear of kind of betrayal, and they just aren't going to allow themselves to get there with somebody. So if they start, maybe they're feeling you a little bit, and then they start to realize, oh, this is getting a little deep. They're out of there.
Do you think that people like that, the typical person maybe witness infidelity from their parents or abandonment from their parents? Or what's like the typical person who is feeling like that? What happened in their childhood?
Normally the ones I've worked with, it's usually they had to develop independence really fast. So either they had a sibling come along when they were like 2 or 3, and then the parents like, oh, you're a big boy now. You're a big girl now. Go do it yourself.
At 2?
At 2, 3. This starts from young. Your attachment style is embedded between like
but I mean,
18
to be
months to 3 years.
I wasn't expecting that. I would expect, things to happen.
Yeah, but it starts from young. So if just from a young age, you're feeling like, oh, now I have to fend for myself, then they grow up thinking they have to fend for themselves, and they just operate as such.
What is if you can answer this, what is like the average attachment style? Like, what are most people?
I would say the combo package. I mean, I see a lot of anxious, but also the combo package, which is anxious and avoidance. So fearful avoidance is what I see a lot of, is like,
I think that one's the one that's
you want that connection. You have a little bit of that anxiety, but then you shut down. That's how you cope with it. So you have both. Like, you're anxious internally. Externally.
You don't run away, but you be like,
I really wish that they would make a Black Mirror episode, and then they would actually make this an actual tool. I love Black Mirror. I don't even know if they're still making new episodes.
And Black Mirror, if you're listening, you need to email Medina.
Yeah, you do.
Because this is her idea, and it's on the internet now. But timestamp.
Imagine they did a Black Mirror episode. Are you familiar with Black Mirror?
I haven't seen it, but I've seen clips.
You're in for a good watch. Watch it. So it's like the dark side of technology. So imagine they make this thing where you can decide to opt in or opt out. It's like you want to find your true match, your true love. And like they maybe put something in your eyes, or maybe they put something on you to where when you look at a person, you look at them, you can see through them, and it'll scan them, and it'll tell you what their attachment style is, a little glimpse of their childhood, with how they think, how they move, and it just kind of like gives them a whole little like scan. It's like
Opt out.
And then it's like it connects with you, and you get to actually see like, okay, you don't have to go through because some parts of the dating journey I don't be wanting to go on. Like, you be going so good, and then you get to a point where you're like, your mama fucked you up, and now we gotta now I'm finding out what you really is, and you don't normally find out until you're 2 years in. Speaking from experience.
Well, I will say the cynic in me is like, hell no, Control Alt to delete,
You
backspace.
wouldn't want to scan it?
No, because I wouldn't mind scanning somebody else. My fear is that somebody is going to scan me, right? And wait, hear me out, because it's going to work both ways. I don't want to be a part of this. I'm not signing up. I need to read all terms and conditions because, girl, you might be right and that might be on the way. I don't know. But I'm not even fearful that they can know so much about me, right? If it's somebody who is interested in loving me and all of that, I am fearful of the manipulators and the people who end up as the folks on Snapped who did snap.
But you would see that in their scan.
That they will snap?
That they can manipulate.
Anybody can. And I'm going to be scared. And I can't live my life like that because I'm already a little paranoid.
Okay.
So I would want to opt out of that. And you're going to have to actually talk to me. And you're going to have to do work the old school way.
I wish I would have my glasses on.
My glasses are off. No. Because you're going to be figuring out. You're going to figure out what I need, what I'm missing. You're going to come in. You're going to love bomb me. It's going to be bombs over Kiki. And I'm going to be mad. And then once I figure it out and I build up my strength and everything to fight back, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bombs over this nigga. It's just going to be bad. That's not good. And then I'm probably going to be the one that goes to jail.
Well, everybody will have the opportunity to buy it or not. You
But
don't have
Black
to.
Mirror, that would be an interesting concept.
That would be a good
similar
episode.
to like the social media thing that they did and how people were making all of these moves to be popular or they had to ride a bike or whatever happened. I can't even remember, but yeah, Black Mirror is interesting. Okay, so fearful avoidant, dismissive avoidant, secure, and what was the other? Anxious.
If you guys haven't read the book Attached, have you read it?
I have.
It is. I haven't finished it yet, but I'm in it. I had took a little pause because I read a few other books, but it's such a really good deep dive into attachment styles. There's different stories that they have in there. They go into depth about all these attachment styles that Ibbie was just telling us. If you really are someone where you're like, I really want to know why I'm like this, where it could come from, or what attachment style I am, and they have tests in the book. I love it.
Can I give a disclaimer on the book? When you read the book, just know that it shows up differently in everybody. So you might read these stories and you're like, oh, well, I mean, is that what I do? I don't really relate to that. It shows up differently. I mean, obviously, there's some key characteristics that each attachment style has, but it's going to show up differently, even gender-wise, like male versus female. It's going to show up differently. So don't label yourself and run with it. Try to.
But it can be helpful. And on both sides too, I will say, like understanding yourself, but then also maybe understanding why people are doing the things that they do when it is different and how you can recognize it. And either you can provide, if it's somebody that you do want to be with, you would ideally want to know how to communicate better or make them feel more secure in the relationship. And so like you might have to do some things that you don't even think of because that has nothing to do with anything that you want. But this makes them feel better because this is what they're scared of or this is where their fears come from. So I think it's good to read all of those, all of the books about the different styles. Apology languages are a big one too. What's your take on the apology languages?
I like those. I thought that was cool how they made like a spinoff off of love languages. I think it helps people see just basically some people apologize just by like saying, I'm sorry, and that's not good enough. Some people want you to rectify the situation. Some people want you to make up for it in different ways. I think some of them overlap. I can't remember all of them. There's like accept responsibility and make restitution. Stuff. Some of them overlap, but I think a genuine apology is when you understand how the other person wants to be apologized to.
Yeah, I remember finding out about the 5 love languages a long time ago. And I read the book, I took the quiz, and I retake the quiz often because as I change and I feel different things in my life changing, different priorities changing, I've noticed that what I want, how I'm showing love and how I want love in all relationships is different. And then I found out about the apology languages, and then I found out about the attachment styles. But I think that all of those things help you to have a better understanding of people because it's really easy to get caught up in how you view the world and your own personal experiences. And it had it not been for all of these books and other people sharing their takes, podcasts, books, be careful with the rest of the internet and some pieces of the podcast internet, be careful. But it's interesting to see these things so you can see how different people process things and how they approach things. Because while some shit still sounds very batshit crazy to me about how people do things. I know that what I say is the same for other people. They think I'm crazy, but it's like, okay, well, I'm a real person and this is really how I do things. So I encourage you all to check out some different books and listen to different people's experiences. It'll expand your worldview and help you realize some things. Yeah. What would you say is the best part about coaching people on dating?
That's a good question.
Yeah. I would say just that aha moment, especially when I link it back to like childhood for them and they're not even seeing that, oh my God, he acts just like my mom treated me. And just even seeing that connect between I'm accepting these things because this is what I'm familiar with. And I think when you're in it, you don't realize it. And then when someone kind of calls it out, you're like, oh my God, this is where all my problems come from. So I think that aha moment is my favorite.
What are some tools you would give some of our listeners for self-awareness if they were navigating a situationship that they didn't want to be in? Like, how can they identify what they truly want? Because sometimes that is hard. Sometimes you do be in something and you're like, do I want it? Do I not?
Yeah.
What are some tools you would give them to help navigate them through that?
Yeah, I would say even beforehand, go into things knowing what you want. Like we were just talking about love languages and apology languages and attachment styles. Know who you are first and identify what it is you want. So that way, when it's not happening, you then choose to walk away, you advocate for yourself. But if it's too late and you're already there,
which happens.
Yeah, check in with yourself. How do you feel? Like clearly, if you're sliding down a wall crying every day, you're miserable. Check in with yourself. If something feels off, that's when it's time to start realizing, okay, I'm not okay with this. What do I actually need? So I would say self-check-ins are so important.
Do you advise people to date through the figuring it out about what you want? And like, you should go on dates. You should meet these different people so that you can figure it out. Or do you think that they should take a pause from interacting and dating other people and just take an introspective look and some time alone?
I would say both. Like if you're down bad and like maybe
and how would they know that they're down bad?
Yeah, what is down bad?
Because people don't be knowing it when they in it.
You're in a place where you're like obsessed. Now this is all you're thinking about. This is all you're talking about. You want everything that's on your mind is how to be chosen by somebody else. That's down bad.
But wait. I feel you on that, and I agree. But when somebody is in it, how could they know that they are down bad because they're obsessing over this versus this is just what I want for my life, and I'm focused on this goal? Because it's all about the word choice that you use, and you can rationalize anything.
Yeah, you can.
And so some people feel like, oh, well, this is just what I want, and I just want this, and I met this guy and I really like him, and that's why I'm so into him. But really, it's like, but you are obsessing. You forgot about everything else. How do they realize that part?
Yeah, very similar. If this is what you're thinking about all day and you're fantasizing more than you're in the relationship, you're thinking, oh, I want us to be this. We're going to have this and we're going to do this. Okay, what about now? What is he showing up as right now? If it's all like, if you're in a fantasy and you're thinking more about what could be happening and you're idealizing the situation, really ask yourself, what is his character? What is it about
actually happening?
What is happening right now today? How is he showing up, or her, whatever it is? How are they showing up today rather than this idealistic version that I have in my mind? And if you can't really answer that honestly, let's be honest, people. Like if you can't, I think people are not honest with themselves a lot and they want to convince themselves that's what they want. And now they're on year 6 in the situationship.
Delulu Island is a fabulous place to be when you don't have any care in the world. Yeah. Maybe that's what we should do next. Everybody's like, what's next for CockTales? We've got a new show coming out on Netflix, Delulu Island, and we are taking people there
I would actually watch that.
I'm done. We'll add this to
we'll
the
talk
agenda
about that
for
off
another.
camera. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, we could help some people. Maybe you'll be one of our resident experts. They love to have an expert on the show. It is hard to get out of being delusional sometimes. I know it. It's fun to be delusional until you sad.
My relationship with delusion is so interesting because there's a part of it where it's like, this isn't good. But then there's a part of delusion where like, you need a little bit of delusion.
What part you need?
I think that sometimes
success.
Success. Like even though I'm not a Donald Trump supporter, there are pieces of how Donald Trump moves in this world where it's like that nigga
He gotta be
is the
delusional.
president of the United States. He doesn't care. Like, he has a level of delusion in his mind where it's getting him where he wants to go, whether we like it or
The
not.
beauty of being a white, mediocre man in America.
The point
lots
that
of
I'm making
money.
is there are some sprinkles of delusion
If
that if you
only.
if you're scared to do something, if you add a little delusion in your jacket, now you standing up, not caring that everyone's you don't have fear anymore.
Yeah, you just show
And
up.
so my relationship with delusion is just so interesting. We need to talk about this show. We need to workshop it because it could be good. We can have healthy delusion and not healthy delusion.
Yeah.
We've got to have the mix to make the show
Yeah,
work.
but we need to have more not healthy delusion. That'll make it.
You got to get viewers,
Yes.
right? They want to
Yeah.
see the toxic
And everybody
stuff.
else who doesn't make the cut during casting calls, we'll send them to help. They're going to have to pay for it, but we'll send them to professionals like you.
Yeah. This will be crazy. I mean, amazing.
Mhm.
I also wanted to ask you if there's someone listening to the show right now or watching the show right now and they're like, I'm in a situationship, but I really want to get out of the situationship, not leave him alone, but I want to have the what are we conversation. What are some like good prompts that you would give them to start that conversation? Because that is, if you're the one who wants to have it and you're not good with your words, it can come off like you can scare somebody away.
Yeah, that's a good question. What
How do
got,
you have the
girl?
what are we conversation, but in like a smooth way?
Smooth it out.
Mhm.
I would say take responsibility for what you want. Like, this is about you, not about them. So if you bring it on some like, for my life, this is what I want for my life over the span of however many years. What are your thoughts on that? Try to just see where their head is rather than this whole like coming at it really hard. Like, I want to be with you and you only, and I need you to be with me. More so for my life. This is where I see my life over the next couple years. What are your thoughts on that?
Should I say this over coffee, dinner,
Cocktails right after sex.
It just, I think
Right.
it just
Should
depends
I put
on
it on him first so I can get what I want? Am I taking a manipulative approach in a nice, sexy way, or am I being a responsible adult? Like,
From what I've seen, if you're having this conversation, you're already down bad. From what I've seen. From
You're
what
right,
I've seen. Like, you've already...
and I want to stand up good.
You've already thrown hints. They're not taking it. You've already asked questions. They're like, why are you trying to mess this up? What we got is good. Like, it's already not a good place to be to even bring this up in the first place. So I would definitely not say after sex, because that's not a good place because
Okay.
you're emotional. They just had a great time because they're getting what they want out of you. They're not going to want to answer that question then. So maybe over a random dinner. I've noticed with situationships, you don't even go to dinner though. They're not taking you out. The ones I've seen, you're not leaving the house.
We're pretty serious.
Really?
What?
Yeah,
We're eating.
Because if we're not eating,
Family meeting.
What was this? The one where you had the control, or this is the one where
It's
they
been,
were?
if I have the control, we're not doing all that. Like, where's she going? Hold on, wait. We still going outside, whether I'm in
Okay.
control or not. But like the
Okay.
ones where I wasn't in control, they were great experiences as far as activities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on age.
That is more of a lower level of a situationship that I like to call it sneaky link.
Yeah.
If we're not going to eat, but baby, you gonna feed me.
I think it depends on age. Now that I
like,
think about it, the ones where they weren't going anywhere, I'm saying like 18 to 25, 26, something like that.
I
They
can't
weren't doing
remember all their
anything. They were
names.
just
Yeah, I never been the girl where it's like,
Caught
why doesn't he take me out? I ain't never been down that
even
bad.
some men that shouldn't have been taking me out because they should have been scared of who was going to see us out and they kissing me in the club and stuff. They weren't. They were truly fearless.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
That's not good.
Well, do it over dinner. How about that?
Dinner.
Yeah, if
There's
you're going out,
calm.
if they're taking you out, maybe
Okay.
over dinner.
How would you have? Let's just role play a little bit. You first, you're gonna you want to be
Serious.
yeah, and
I
then
wanna be
I'll
with
do
you.
it. I
and
wanna
make
be
it
serious.
about you for your life where you see yourself.
This is pull out my acting skills. Okay, so I was talking to my sister earlier, and she's hosting Christmas this year. And I wasn't really sure if I wanted to go, but I am. And I know that we've been seeing each other for a while, and I would really like for you to meet them. Would you be interested in joining me and coming back to Texas to meet my family?
Oh, okay. Like, you want me to come?
Yeah, I want you to come. Would you want to come? Do you want to come?
It's cool.
Okay, well, see, this is cool. It's given, I don't know. So before we get there and before any flights are booked or anything, I just want some clarification. I want you to meet them because I really like you. And I would like to see how they feel about you. I know how I feel, but I would like to see our relationship progress in this next year. How are you feeling about that?
Well, I like you too.
The progression part.
To come to Texas.
To progress our relationship.
But like, how do you want to progress it?
You know what?
Did it tell you everything you
even
need to know?
Actually, don't worry about it.
Great.
I'll check with my sister and I'll get back to you when she tells me like dates and she does little parties. So I'll keep you posted, but we can get another drink.
That was
Yeah.
the perfect response.
That was great, yeah.
That was because
I'm not gonna beat a dead horse.
I'm not about to keep because now I feel dumb. But it's interesting because it's like
If I catch you off guard, okay.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna say something else and try to be direct without because I still am sitting here and I am gonna finish my food.
That's why I feel like when you have to ask the question, you're already down bad because men are pretty intentional. If it's a situation where it's a female and she wants something more, men are usually pretty intentional. Like they're going to scoop you up. You're not going to have this what are we conversation because you're going to know exactly where you are and what are you. So,
typically, yeah. But sometimes you get a shy one.
If you've gotten to a
sometimes
place
you do get
where,
a shy one where he's not sure what you're doing because you've been outside. And
Yeah,
so,
but
how
you was
long are
really
we
just
talking?
trying to protect your feelings because you was
But how long
fearful
are we
avoidant or
talking?
something.
How long are we talking that you've been dealing
This
with
isn't
someone and
real.
you don't know? You haven't defined what you are. How long are we talking?
This isn't real, so I don't know.
Yeah.
We're getting carried away in our story.
If
But it could be years.
I've never had like years of not defining when relationships actually turn into relationships. I would say there have been months though where there's not really like a definition of like what we're doing, and I don't really feel bad about it. But we are getting to a point where it's like, okay, well, we should probably talk about this.
Yeah.
just because like the
if it
timing
starts
is
off
there.
mutual, you're in a mutual place and it's like, this is working, then having that conversation. Yeah. But if it's like from jump, you already knew you didn't want to be in this.
Yeah, I think it depends on it's like so many different layers to it. So it depends on what you want. If we're not going to consider what the other person wants or what their intentions truly are, you got to think about what you want. For me, a situationship can last a really long time if I don't really want to progress anything, right? And I know that. So I'm not bringing up the what are we conversation. I'm not doing any of that because I'm fine with where it's at.
The moment. I don't want to give it the moment to present itself if I'm not interested. Like if it's just like I'm having fun with you.
Yeah.
I want
We
to
can
keep
cuddle.
it fun. I don't want to do too many things where there's opportunity to have talks like this. I want to avoid these moments like the runaway bride. But if I am open and maybe I don't know how you feel, so it's just like I'm going with the flow. I'm open to something more, but I'm also cool with this and I can explore my other options. We do that too. But if I'm the one who likes somebody else, it's usually a couple of months go by and then it's like, then the first couple months go by and then I realize how I feel and then I spend too many months in trying to play out the situation in my head and all the different scenarios. And it's like, okay, bitch, snap out of it because all of these things are just TV shows that are playing in your head. You have to talk to the other person because you cannot predict anybody else's actions and you have to be ready for whatever comes with it. And then I have that conversation and it's sad. Or it's fine. And it's just like, okay, well now we have some clarity because you didn't beat around the bush. You told me what it was, whether it was good, bad, or indifferent.
Being on the opposite end of it where you're letting the person know like you're really not interested. Like if you're caught off guard and you're like, oh shit, like
I led you on.
or not, I didn't even lead you on. We didn't do nothing. I don't like you like that. Like I don't even. Oh, I remember one time there was a guy that we were just like we would go to dinner and like I'm the type of lover girl. Like if I'm trying to do something serious with you, you really gonna know because it's just like two distinct, different types of versions. And we were just, like, I don't need to come to your house. I don't need you. Like, it was like we would go to dinner and we were having a good time. It was good company.
Yeah.
And one day his mom called on FaceTime at dinner. He picked up the phone. And he was like, I want you to meet my mom. And I was like,
on FaceTime and we're out eating lamb chops.
and of course I'm not going to say no. Like I'm not going to, that's mean.
Yeah.
I'm already here.
I was like, hi.
Hey, Miss Susan.
How you doing? Like, yeah, we're having so much fun. She was like, he's just been talking about you so much. I can't wait to meet. And I was just like, Oh my goodness.
I can't see you again after that. I'm in too deep. You are too down bad. And those are the stories that, Lifetime movies are made of.
That's an uncomfortable spot to put me in because you catapulted me into this situation.
That's
you knew I couldn't
manipulative
get out of
behavior.
it.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew that like I was a little
Trying to
out of his
trick
league. I'm not gonna lie. I was. Like he
Oh.
was fresh out of prison. But I'm not a judgmental person. We could go on some dates. We're not doing nothing else though.
But are you checking? I think I'm big on check-ins. I mean, a lot of my clients, they want to be married. Like that's the goal.
I didn't think the niggas that was in prison wanted to check in. So I thought I was in a safe zone.
They were
Like,
tired
you
of
just-
checking in. That's what you thought. They've been checking in.
You just need to know.
all
I
their
think at all
life.
times, you
Life
need to know. What? At all times, you just need to know what page the other person is on. It just makes life easier. Because
It does.
Well,
How can
after
I avoid
that day,
those moments?
I was childish. I didn't bring it up. I was like, I'm not. I just started falling back. And then he was like, I noticed like you kind of started falling back, like
Yep.
something happened. And I was like, yeah,
You
something
introduced me
happened.
to your mama on FaceTime, nigga.
Did you tell him what it was?
I was just like, it's just a lot. I was like, I think it's just
It's a
moving.
lot
I'm
around.
going through some things. Right now.
I got a lot going on. What do you have going on? Because all you do is post memes on your Instagram story all day.
I just told him, I was like, I think that this is just like going in a way where I didn't plan on it going. And I done met your mama. Like I wasn't expecting that. And that's just where I'm at. Like, and then I just kind of fell off.
Yeah.
And like Shan Booty taught us, you gotta meet people where they at. Okay.
You do. And you do. All right, y'all. On that note.
No. You still think about saying no to that man in the future he wanted with you. On that note.
We're going to move on to Indecisive Diane. And when we come back, we have some advice letters to read.
Would you stop thinking about what everyone wants? Stop thinking about what I want, what he wants, what your parents want. What do you want? What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What do you want? What do you want?
Hey ladies, it's me, Diane. And listen up. Paradise and Vibe, yeah, the wellness retreat that Medina Monroe hosts, finally put out their August dates for next year. They're doing one big wellness retreat. It's gonna be more like festival vibes, if you will. But we're still gonna have a little bit of wellness because you bitches need wellness. So make sure you go to paradiseandvibes.com and check it out. Bye.
Okay, you guys, so we are back from Indecisive Diane, and it is time for the advice. If you have a question that you would like for us to possibly answer on the show, please email us. The email address is advice@cocktalespod.com, and make sure you put advice in the subject line.
Okay, y'all, we have a professional with us today, so you're going to get some good advice. This one is titled, Give Him Space. Hey, Kiki and Medina.
Hey.
It's your girl, Nell. I don't know who Nell is.
Hey, Nell.
Hey, girl. I never thought I would get back into the dating scene after my divorce, but I finally got myself together after 3 years, and last year I met a wonderful man. See, y'all, there's still really great men out there. We have so much in common. Besides the fact we're both divorced, we love art, music, and traveling. We have the best conversations. He sends me beautiful texts throughout the day. We enjoy our time together, no matter if it's a dinner date, movies, or vacation. He's a leader, a businessman, intelligent. He's handsome, a great listener. He gives great advice. This would everybody be saying in the beginning. He's everything a woman would want. Up until a few months ago, we were doing great. Unfortunately, he lost his child.
Oh.
This is hurting him tremendously. My heart breaks for him because as a parent, I don't know what I would do. I've been reaching out because I care and I want to be there, but he's been distant, not answering my calls or my texts. Grief is different for everyone, and I understand that. Should I continue to reach out or stop and wait for him to contact me? I just want to be there for him because he has a special place in my heart. Do you ladies have any advice? Side note, our first conversation was 3 hours long on the phone. Then we spoke every day from that day on. Even when one of us was having a bad day, we communicated that and would just check in and then give one another space. So to go from that to barely hearing from him is taking some getting used to. By the way, I love y'all and enjoy CockTales. I'll see you in November at the Howard Theater. Oh, this is old. Sent from my iPhone.
Last year. Well, I wonder what happened. Because I know you wasn't waiting on us.
What would you tell her to do?
A loss is hard. A loss of a child.
That's right.
Hard. A check-in again. I guess that's the theme of tonight. Check in with yourself. Like, are you doing this for him or for?
Just ignore her.
Are you doing this for him or for you? Like at the end of the day, you're saying it's for him. He's not responding. Are you doing it because you miss him? Because you want to remind him you're still there? Or is this about him? If it's about him, send some thoughtful notes here and there. If it's about you, you have an ulterior motive. Check in with yourself. But I would say sending thoughtful notes here and there is nice, but make sure you're doing it for him and not because you want to be chosen by him when he comes back.
If you think that if she realizes, okay, this is about me and I do want him to know because I want him to pick me and know that like I wouldn't leave him alone, how should she move forward with that realization? Should she continue to check in or should she do a different type of check-in or like how should she move?
Yeah, I would say thoughtful notes are always nice. Just for anyone who's had a loss that you care about, thoughtful notes every so often, like, hey, just hope you're doing well, sending prayers, whatever you have to do, but nothing more than that. Like, I wouldn't say questions like, oh, when are you coming back to me? Or like, when are we going to talk again? Like, don't make it about you in any capacity. More so like, I'm just sending thoughts and prayers your way. I'm here if you need me. Something along those lines.
Keep the questions out of it.
Keep questions out for now.
What do you think?
Oh, that's rough. I think that I dated somebody who lost a child. He didn't lose a child while he was in a relationship with me, but he was dealing with the grief of losing a child. When I did the check-in with myself, I realized I don't even have kids. So I couldn't handle that type of grief. I didn't know what to do. Like, and I felt bad because it started to get to a point where it would be like, okay, I guess I just won't do anything, but I don't think that's the answer either. And so I think that you definitely don't make it about yourself. Ask if there's anything. You seem like you really care and you want to be a part of it. Not that I didn't, but it wasn't going to work for me. But you can also ask, like we learned from Kemi, who's the author of The Gift of Asking, is there anything I can do for you? Maybe there's something you could do for him. Maybe there's not, but I don't think that you should definitely don't be like, hey, like, when am I going to see you? That would be wildly insane to say. I think this is one of those ones where like, you might have to just kind of wait and see. And if you think he's worth it to wait and see, then wait and see. I told you I'm a lover girl. If you worth waiting for, I'm gonna wait. If you don't want to wait, don't wait. You don't have to do that. Everybody does handle grief differently. You don't know how long it's going to be. You're not married. Pray about it.
Yeah, I was going to say that last part about how everybody handles grief differently. There's no clear-cut timeline. You can't say that after X amount of time, this person has to be over it or they have to have moved on. Some people, sadly, never do.
Especially with the loss of a child, you're never getting over that.
Yeah. Parents do not expect to outlive their children. I'm not a parent, but I hear people say that all the time. And when they do lose a child, because I know some people who have, it rocks their world. And that's something that you need to ask yourself if you will wait around for, because it could be months. It's been a year since you wrote us. It could be years. Like, we don't know where you guys are right now. You have to consider that. And I like your advice where it's like, okay, you can reach out, but don't be asking questions. I have been through some things, not losing a child, but just thinking about grief, right? It gets annoying when people want you to express your feelings and your thoughts when maybe you haven't even sorted them out yet. Or you're not sure, or you're still in that angry phase of grief. And you're like, okay, I want to be a responsible adult. I don't want to waste all the money I've spent on therapy. I don't want to have misplaced anger and like lash out at this person that's asking me, but they keep like trying to make me talk about something or trying to make me do something. And right now I just want to be, or I want to have the room and space to figure it out. You've got to ask yourself that. He might be a really great guy. And I think that this is something that is going to be life-changing for him. Now, how his life changes, we don't know. It could change for the worst, and he may be totally unavailable. Some people don't make it back, and that's a hard truth that you probably should talk to yourself about and figure out, like, are you going to sit around and wait for him forever? Mm-hmm. But then also, if you care, like it sounds like you do or did, nothing wrong with reaching out. I hope that because it has been so much time, I hope that you guys have been able to get in touch and that he's coming out of it, because also on the flip side, outside of any sort of love or romantic relationship, dealing with grief for a long time, like it's sad, it's tough, and I don't want anybody to sit in it too long, and what's too long, who knows? But I hope that you figure it out. Let us know. I would love to hear an update. I'm sorry that we didn't get to it until this year, but I'm glad that you wrote in, because you never know who else might be going through the same thing, and you might not even have no solution. But I hope that you respect the fact that this person is grieving. You don't know how they're handling it, and you like them at first, so continue to send them love, positive vibes, and prayers their way, whether it works out for what you want or not.
And speaking of
sucks.
grief, y'all know I'm always going to do a little plug. I have been wanting to do an episode about grief, someone who maybe was married or you're dating someone and they passed away. So I'm just going to put that out there. If you have experienced that, send us an email so we can try to include you in an episode, have you on as a guest, and talk about dating after grief.
Mm-hmm. That would be a really interesting one. Okay. Well, if you guys need some advice, hopefully we can get you a little sooner in the new year. But email us advice@cocktalespod.com, advice@cocktalespod.com. Put advice in the subject line so we can sort it. And so now we will pick it back up and get to a lighter note with the cocktails.
But if you ain't got a buck, I won't cuff 'em. Spend 100 on me, it ain't nothing. Run a double D, so stuffing. Back to the point. Is it some cash in this place? If it is, I'll probably stick the stats in your face, turn around. Once upon a time, not long ago, I was a hoe.
All right, you guys. So if you have a cocktail that you would like to share on the show, we love reading your dirty confessions. Email it to us, CockTales, CockTales, cocktails@cocktalespod.com, and put cocktails in the subject line. All right, Ibbie, you got a spicy cocktail for us?
I don't think it's spicy. I don't have any dirty.
Oh, well, it doesn't have to be spicy.
Yeah, they don't have to be spicy.
That was just the first words that came to mind.
They can be embarrassing.
Or maybe it could be how you locked your man down.
Or weird or romantic.
Because you are married.
Oh, yeah. Is how you guys met a juicy story?
No.
How you knew you loved him, is that a good story? Is it romantic?
It's a very simple. We have a very
no simple.
Did you have that story in mind?
I do.
Okay,
I have a date.
Okay.
There's a date I went on that was very interesting. This was a while ago. I'm not going to say when, but there was a guy. I met him and he seemed like he was really charming. That's like a trigger word. It's a red flag. Very charming. And like just the way he approached me, like I was like, oh, this is a nice gentleman. Like he introduced himself. He shook my hand. It wasn't the usual. Like,
where were y'all?
I was living in Savannah at the time. We were downtown, like on the by the river. And I was like, oh, this is a nice picture. Yeah, it was great. So we exchanged numbers and I was like, oh, this is a cool guy. He told me, I think at the time he had 2 girlfriends he was living with.
How did you slip that in there?
Girlfriends that he was living with. They had a poly something going on.
Okay.
I don't know at which point in our conversation this came up. I don't know when it came up, but I guess I just wanted to have a good time because I still agreed to go on a date. And before we were going to go on that date, he's like, oh, hey, I just wanted to check in. He called me. He's like, I wanted to check in and see if you'd be comfortable with one of my girlfriends coming on the date with us. I was like, no, that's not my preference. He said, okay, we'll continue forth as planned. We get to the date and he's like, we're having a good time. He's like, yo, one of my girlfriends paid gave me money to come on the stage.
Well, you were in
What
your
was your
20s,
first
clearly.
thought when he said that to you?
I don't know.
You weren't like, he's
because she agreed to go on the date,
I
and
agree.
he knew.
That's what I'm
she
saying.
knew.
Like, I'm trying to tap into that mindset. Like, what was I thinking? Like, Ibbie, what was going on?
We all
Or
did
is it just like, this is a fun roller coaster? This is better than Six Flags?
Or were you just hungry?
Because I would feel
no
like this
idea.
is like Six Flags, and I'm gonna stay on this ride until it throws me off. Because like, what are the chances that I run into somebody like this again?
Yeah, I don't know what it was. Maybe I wanted
Okay.
to just have a good night. I have no idea. I don't know what that
Okay.
Ibbie was doing, but
The girlfriend gave him money to take you. on the
gave him
date.
money to take me.
Was
on
it a
this
good date?
We had a good time for sure.
She was trying to win you. She was trying to.
I was like,
woo
are y'all
you.
trying to add me to the situation? Because I'm not down with that.
It's gonna be a quad.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a what?
A quad, because it's gonna be 4 of them instead of the throuple.
And he was trying to, like, I guess maybe now that I think about it, he probably was trying to add me because he was trying to hype it up. Like, oh yeah, financially, this is great. We all contribute.
Was he contributing? 'Cause
Yeah.
why is she paying for dinner?
He's the one pulling the women into the
He's
cult.
the one-
I'm sorry, the
So he's a
relationship.
pimp.
He's the one feeding off of all of this. They're funding his lifestyle.
Because what do they do for a living? We
I
got
have no
questions.
idea.
Yeah, I got
I didn't ask enough questions.
I wouldn't have asked
clearly.
questions if this was in my 20s either. But now, knowing what I know now, hindsight
It
is
wouldn't have
20/20.
gotten this far at this age. But then I don't know what it was. But yeah, we're going through the date, close to the end. Then he starts showing me that he wants to be a porn star. So he starts showing me
knew it.
videos.
I knew it was gonna be pictures or videos. He had a big one, didn't he? Because people be proud. If men just whip it out after they had already fed you some bullshit and told you they didn't even really pay for this date, another woman did. You gotta be packing. I'm
clearly
sorry.
he has some type of confidence.
Because
Yeah.
you didn't buy any audacity. You didn't buy this date. Your girlfriend did. So like you are packing something.
So that's a
down there.
secure attachment.
No,
Oh.
that's a
No.
homeless attachment.
No.
You gotta make sure they get more bills.
I mean,
Okay.
later I found out, I did some
Googles.
no, just some, what's the word that they say therapists?
A background
I
check?
therapized, I
Oh.
kind of like got in there a little bit and found out, he has this whole desire to be chosen by women because of insecurities. So the more women he gets, the better he feels about himself. He had abandonment issues with his mom,
Of
walking out
course.
of his life. So once we got through all of that, I was able to see, oh, this makes sense.
It was a case study.
It was a case study. Mhm.
Wow.
Well, that's beautiful that you got to apply that to your education so that you can continue to help other people.
Mhm.
All dates are not going to be good dates, but they could be good material if
gotta
you're
take
in
a few
school
L's.
or starting a podcast.
Yeah, turn it into content.
That's how we got here. We can go to school for this.
Start from the beginning. Look how far we've come.
Now, are you accepting new clients, whether that be for dating coaches or to be coached on dating or any other form of therapy now?
Therapy, I'm kind of bugged. I probably will have like 2 more spots left. Coaching, I'm wanting to do more group coaching. I think I've seen that, like, people helping each other out in a group space, like having maybe 10 people, maybe 8 to 10 people on a group coaching. I want to do more of that.
So, like, what does that look like? Is a bunch of people with issues?
Probably the
Or-
same issue that I'm
Okay.
seeing a lot. Like, a lot of my clientele, they're coming to me because they want to be married. They've entertained situationships and toxic relationships. That's not what they want for their life. So I would get a group of like 8 women who are going through a similar thing. And I would just do like live coaching in real time, but then also have like a Slack channel or something where they can communicate with each other, hold each other accountable when I'm not available. I think I like the group aspect. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
gonna do more of that.
Do you therapize the men and the others?
The others. I do have male clients, but they're not my target audience. My heart beats for women. I want to see us all win. So I do have male clients, but first of all, that's not who usually comes to me anyway.
Are they straight?
Yeah. Couple are straight, some are not. But
Because
yeah.
the straight men don't be acting like they need help sometimes. That's why I asked.
But these are therapy clients. I don't have them ever come to me for coaching. Like, I don't ever have men come to me for coaching.
They I
come
got
for
some
therapy.
issues.
Yeah.
My wife is going to leave me. I've got to.
Yeah, it's something like that usually. They realize there's an issue that's coming up that their loved ones need them to get help for.
So if people want to find you, they want to book your services, or maybe when these group sessions are available, how can they find you? Connect with you.
Plug yourself.
You can find me on Instagram at Sick of Situationship, and all the links are there. You can book session. You can see, licensed, and I can see clients in Georgia and Florida for therapy. Coaching, I could see you worldwide. So everything's there. My book is there. I have these little, like you guys have cards. I have little playing cards that ask questions like, what was the biggest red flag you ignored? And what are you not going to be doing again? And, you know, some cute little cards like that. It's all linked at Sick of Situationship.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
Oh,
you.
one last thing. Do you take insurance for the therapy?
I
that's a good
do. That is a
question.
great question.
Yeah.
So for therapy, as of today, I don't know when this episode is dropping.
Is-
As of today,
Uh-huh.
I take Cigna, Aetna, and Blue Cross Blue Shield.
So that's good to know because I have found out that a lot of people don't. So
Mhm.
if you're looking for somebody that your insurance will take, she just told you Cigna, Aetna, and
Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Blue Cross
and
Blue Shield.
Kaiser. Kaiser too.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's who I have.
Okay,
Kaiser.
y'all.
Mhm.
If you're trying to get
No
have a-
excuses.
No excuses. If
excuses.
you are one of those people where you're dating and you're like, I really do want to like figure this out. I am an advocate for dating coaches and therapy.
And therapy.
So hit her
Mhm.
up. Thank you so much, Ibbie, for coming.
Yes, thanks for
Thank
having
you.
me.
Of course. And you guys make sure that you check the description box for the links to everything that we've promoted in the episode today. We look forward to seeing you guys on Patreon, on our trips, and everything else we have going on. Make sure you're following us on Instagram. We're at CockTales Podcast. I'm at Kiki Said So.
I'm at Coffee Bean.
And until next week, you guys, goodbye.
Goodbye. Bye. 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 Bye.
Population.
Goodbye. Bye. Bye. Sweet on the dry. Bye. Bye. Bye.